Here in Germany, the government has begun flying in thousands of seasonal farm workers. Ministers are hoping to recruit some 80,000 vegetable and fruit pickers despite travel restrictions imposed because of the virus. The workers, mostly from Eastern Europe, are being brought to Germany in controlled groups to prevent possible infections.
Romanian seasonal workers cheek by jowl before roll call at Cluj airport. Some wear masks, others don't. All await transport to Germany to help with the harvest after an exception was made to the country's travel ban.
Before they properly enter the country, there will be a health check, and this will be sent to the responsible health office. They will not be allowed to make individual trips when they get here, and each company must make sure the workers keep a certain distance during transport and that people work together in groups. The first 14 days is a near quarantine, the one during which they can work.
But there are questions as to how effective a near quarantine can be given these pre-flight conditions, and if it's enough to perform a health check rather than a specific test for COVID-19, a disease that can be symptomless. The desperation to admit these workers is understandable. Germany's travel ban has caused a huge personnel shortage on farms and fields, which employed around 300,000 such workers last year. Those coming in this year, some 40,000 in April and again in May, will pick crops like white asparagus, considered a seasonal delicacy in Germany. Others will head south to Bavaria to harvest crops for one of the country's best-known products, beer. And despite the lack of Eastern European workers so far this year, brewers have a reassuring message. We won't run out of beer. There are old stocks and contract. But as their country tries to strike a balance between staying safe and kick-starting the economy, many Germans will hope they don't reap more than they bargained for.
Well, for more on this, I'm now joined in the studio by Rob Watts from DW Business. Rob, German farmers happy today?
Yes, they'll have been very pleased to see those planes arriving in Berlin and Dusseldorf over the past 24 hours. Last year, Germany relied on 300,000 of these seasonal workers, and it looked like they were going to have to cope with just a fraction of that this time round. Because, when coronavirus arrived in Europe, the first thing that started to happen was borders started to close and controls became much tighter. The workers couldn't get here, they couldn't fly here, they couldn't take buses here because the drivers would have had to have gone into quarantine when they returned to their own countries. So this agreement that we've seen between, for example, Germany and Romania comes as a great relief because it means they can start to get some of those numbers. They may not get 300,000, but at least we're seeing some 80,000 over the next 2 months.
But what about the shortfall then? The 300,000 are needed, 80,000 are coming. That's still a pretty big difference.
Yes, so where do those people come from? Well, the idea from the German government is that people who are already here can start to at least make up some of those. They're hoping to get around 20,000 people who are already in Germany filling these other jobs.
For example, workers who stay at home at the moment?
Yeah, so we're thinking students, for example, the unemployed, people who are temporarily unemployed because of the coronavirus, because we're seeing things like restaurants closed. There was a suggestion that restaurant workers alone could be able to fill in this gap. That's what the German government has suggested could be done. It started a website as well where, you can sign up and say, I'm available for this work, and other people can sign up and say, well, I need these workers, and this website will try and put you together.
You mentioned it that travel is heavily restricted across Europe. Are there still worries that these workers could bring in coronavirus, or is that unfounded? Well,
there's obviously a risk. Romania and Germany have clearly thought they can set aside at least some of that risk because of the importance of this movement of workers. But bear in mind, we look at the Romanians, they're coming from a country with 5,000 cases to a country with 120,000 cases. So it's not just about protecting Germany from the workers that are coming here, but also the workers that are here need to be protected for when they go back. So they are being checked at airports in their home countries and when they arrive here. When they get here, they're going into a sort of semi-quarantine for 2 weeks where they won't be working with other workers on the farms that they go to. They'll have to wear protective equipment, and in their accommodation there'll be half as many people staying as they would normally expect. And that's not only to avoid coronavirus being brought into Germany, but it's also to protect them from catching it from people here.
Rob Watts from DW Business, thank you very much.
You're welcome.